I would get on the phone and I would research Guillain-Barré syndrome. And quite frankly, what I was reading was terrifying. That's when I read, wow, you get to keep this forever. It's like chickenpox. It lives in your body forever. You can't give it away. You can't catch it, but it stays there and it can come back. And I think that's the most terrifying thing about it, is the thought that the most terrifying thing that happened to you in your life could actually come back and visit you again.
I'm Michael George of Sagesse Healthcare Consulting, and this is Patient Vlog, part of the Pioneering Patient podcast series. In the vlog, we'll be looking at the challenges people face as they face up to their particular health conditions. Now, our 63-year-old guest today is a lifelong athlete, but a year ago he is paralysed in hospital, fearing he may never leave. He's now raising funds for a particular charity with a rare disease, a disease he'd never heard of before he got it, and I'm sure most of you never heard. And he's taking on for this, to raise funds, the challenge of the Tour de France Mont Ventoux climb, which is a particular challenge. And we're here today to meet Miles Washburn. Miles, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
And so it's early in the day there, and you'll be going out for a training ride, I suppose, later on?
Right after this vlog, I'll be going out and doing anywhere between 30 and 45 miles today. Depends on the heat and how I feel. Excellent.
So let's go back to the start of last year, when this all began for you, in this condition. You just overcome a respiratory virus, an RSV, and you're at your mountain house clearing a fallen tree, and then you started to feel symptoms that didn't seem right. So tell me more about what happened, what you felt that day.
Well, that morning I woke up with a lisp, kind of like a speech impediment, and I thought, this is certainly very weird and different. But I really thought it was a reaction to all the medicines I was taking. I had been battling RSV for, 5 or 6 weeks, and I was on all kinds of antibiotics and other wonderful drugs. And I just figured it was a reaction. I went out and was clearing the tree with my friend, and I noticed when I was out there that I couldn't spit. And I thought that was kind of weird too. My mouth couldn't expel saliva. I thought that was strange. And then throughout the day, I noticed I was having difficulty swallowing. And within 36 hours, I was in the ICU. Didn't know I was in the ICU for a couple of days, but I was in the ICU within about 36 hours of that time.
Yeah. So you first had to go home. You realized something was wrong, and you called your wife and said, I'm closing up the cabin for the time, which is what you not what you normally do. So you knew something was wrong. So you had to rush back home first. What was that like?
I really didn't think much of it. Again, I thought I was having a reaction to the medicine. I thought, wow, this is really certainly very strange. But, if anyone's ever had an allergic reaction to a medicine, they think, well, I'll stop taking the medicine and this all will go away and everything will be fine. And I really thought that. As a matter of fact, I actually called the doctor at some point and said, I think I'm having a reaction to this medicine. What do I do? Yeah. And said, come in, we're going to give you a big old fat Benadryl shot. And if it's not better within the hour, call back. Being a guy, I waited 2 hours and, there was no improvement. And my wife said, no, we're not going back to the doctor. We're going to the emergency room.
Really? Wow. And when you got there, what happened? What did they tell you? Did they know what the situation?
They didn't know. I got sent to the left. That's a whole other story, where the PAs there and everybody, tried to do the best they could, but I don't think they really knew about Guillain-Barré yet, or did not know about it, or spent very little time on it in school. And they misdiagnosed me, and they thought I was having an esophagus problem. That's why I couldn't know. At that point now, I can't swallow.
Yeah.
They thought, okay, well, he's having an esophagus problem. He needs to go see an ear, nose, and throat specialist. We should make the appointment right away. And I kept saying to the guy through my wife as a translator, because my lisp now had gotten so bad, it was hard to understand what I was saying, that I couldn't swallow. I couldn't spit. I couldn't do anything. And the PA kept saying, well, you can swallow. I can see you swallowing. And my wife actually stood up and said, that's not the case. And the guy wanted to argue with us. And we just said, it's time to go. It's time to go. And, maybe he's right. Go get one of those cameras put down your throat and take a look and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Uh, Things that night progressively got worse. I eventually lost most of my strength, and my wife said, "No, it's time to go back to the emergency room." And that time, I got sent to the right, which
Yeah.
apparently is where the doctors are. And by the grace of God, and I truly do believe God's hand was there, the doctor I saw was, in fact, the chief of staff.
Yeah.
He at first thought I was having a stroke, and he said, "Gee, Miles, I think you're having a stroke." The only word I heard was having. Gave me a brain MRI right away. I mean, I cut the line. I went right in.
Yeah.
When I came out, he said, "Well, you have no lesions on the brain. Your brain looks fine. I think you have," and this is where I heard it first, "I think you either have Guillain-Barré syndrome, Elliott-Barr syndrome, an exotic tick or spider bite, or something else." And I don't remember what
Yeah.
that fourth thing
Yeah.
was. But he said, "You're being admitted right now. You're not going home, and I'm going to start treating you for all four things immediately." Of course, I had no idea I was being admitted to the ICU. I had no clue. I was more worried about the fact that I couldn't swallow and basically couldn't move.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
So you've gone from being a fit athlete to someone very fit to being able to do nothing. What was it like? Completely paralyzed, were you?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
It was the most terrifying experience I've ever been through in my entire life. Thinking about it again actually right now gives me chills and that nervous pit feeling in your stomach because you don't ever want to relive the most terrifying experience of your life. I talk about it all the time because I want to raise awareness for Guillain-Barré and, of course, raise awareness for the fundraiser. But it was absolutely terrifying. You don't know what's happening, and you literally are praying they can figure out what it is.
And as you say, and we said earlier, most people had never do not know Guillain-Barré's syndrome. Had you heard of it, and what do you know of it now?
I had not heard of it. I started once I could use my phone because I was so weak. I would hold the TV clicker in my hand at the hospital and put both thumbs on the button. You know, if someone put the clicker in my hand, I put both fingers on the button. I couldn't press the button to change the channel. If I wanted to have the TV channel changed, I either had to ask my wife or a nurse or somebody to change the channel, which I didn't care, so I didn't really watch that much TV. I didn't know anything about it. I knew nothing. I'd never heard it. I figured, okay, well, I've got Guillain-Barré. Okay, they're going to give me the drugs, and I'm going to be fine. It's like getting the flu or getting, I don't know, some sickness, and they give you drugs, and you get better, and you go home, walk away. And as they gave me the IVIG plasma several days later, when I started to get a little bit of mobility back, I started using my phone, and at night when I couldn't sleep because the nerve pain, that was a whole other new discovery, was hitting me, especially in my spine and my shoulder cradle. So, you're leaning back in bed, it hurts. I would get on the phone and I would research Guillain-Barré syndrome. And quite frankly, what I was reading was terrifying. I mean, It was terrifying. That's when I read, wow, you get to keep this forever. It's like chickenpox. It lives in your body forever. You can't give it away. You can't catch it. But it stays there, and it can come back. And I think that's the most terrifying thing about it is the thought that the most terrifying thing that happened to you in your life could actually come back and visit you again. I think that's quite frankly, the scariest part of it.
Yeah. And what do you know about how you got it, how other people contract Guillain-Barré syndrome? What do you know about that now?
Well, nobody really knows how you get it. It's been kind of determined that you get it, you can get it, and again, it's very rare. The average person does not get it.
No, I understand it's between 1 in 100,000 to 1 in 200,000. So if you've got a city of 1 million people, there's going to be 5 to 10 people in that whole city at any time who get it. So it's very rare.
Maybe. Yeah. So you can get it from severe respiratory illnesses. We assume mine came from the RSV. You can get it from severe intestinal illnesses like the norovirus. I used to cruise all the time. You couldn't get me on a cruise ship right now.
Yeah.
And the other big thing is vaccines. Apparently, vaccines have a way of triggering it in your body. There's my GBS mouth a little bit left over. Um, so my doctor said my day of vaccines is over. There will be no more vaccines in my life, no more flu shots or anything like that.
Yeah. So
So
how
those are
was
the
it?
three big triggers.
Yes. So how was it finally treated, and how did you then recover?
So once they determined what it was, and you go through a battery of tests. I mean, if you look at a computer screen and you put a spreadsheet on it, I had 2.5 computer screens of tests. CAT scans, brain MRIs, spinal tap. I could stop counting blood at 16 vials. I mean, just test after test after test. And at least they treated me with IVIG plasma. And I had 5 days of that. And your symptoms they stop getting worse to start with, which is good. I remember when I passed one of the breathing tests that, prevented me from going on a ventilator, I actually cried. I was so relieved. It showed I was actually going back in the right direction. Um, so they treated me with that, and then your body slowly starts to heal itself. It never really fully heals. You're always kind of dealing with certain issues. Every patient recovers differently. That's one interesting thing I've learned through research and also from talking to the rare patient that I'm able to find, and through this fundraiser I've been able to find a few.
Yeah.
We all have a different story, and we all have a different healing process, which I think is very interesting. It's such a unique syndrome. It attacks everybody a little bit different, and your healing process is a little bit different. Mine has been probably better than most, and I think a lot of that I attribute to, and my neurologist attributes it to, and my physician attributes it to, that I went into the hospital in good shape. I was not obese. I was not diabetic. I was not a smoker, not a heavy drinker. Do I have a glass of wine? Absolutely. But I basically in pretty good shape. Older, but in pretty good shape. My neurosurgeon, my neurologist said that I fell off the cliff very, very fast. But I was the poster boy of recovery because I climbed back up very fast. And he thought that was absolutely fascinating. And I've been very blessed with that. I've been very blessed with that.
And so you look at your recovery. You went in there. You're paralyzed. You could barely speak. You couldn't move. And yet, how long was it before you went out of hospital, fearing you'd never go? And what was your shape when you left hospital?
I was in the ICU for 7 days. I left with a cane. I got rid of the cane in 2 days. The cane was there not because I couldn't walk, albeit I walked slowly. It was because of balance. Balance can be a challenge for GBS patients, and you're a little bit weaker. I was a little unsure of yourself, and we all know that when we go into the grocery store and we see a man or woman with a cane, we give them that little bit of extra room and that little extra bit of courtesy. And I decided I'm going to take advantage of that for a couple of days until I can really be sure of myself on my feet. My recovery has been very good. I'm very blessed. I praise God. I suffer from what I call the GBS hangover. That consists of nerve pain, anxiety, chronic fatigue,
Yeah.
and what I call GBS mouth. Because it started in my mouth, Michael. It started with that lisp, and then that inability to spit, and then that inability to swallow. So it all started right here. And I think there's been some serious nerve damage up there. And sometimes it's hard for me to form a word or
Yeah.
trying to get a sentence out, and I can't do it. And it's already happened once during this interview, and it happens during conversations primarily. If it's a random 1 or 2 word exchange back and forth with somebody, it's usually not a problem. But when you're having a conversation and you're thinking about what you're going to say, and you're trying to get out various words, it can sometimes come up and bite me.
And chronic fatigue must be a problem, especially when you're training to climb Mont Ventoux. Fatigue's going to be a problem for you, isn't it?
It can be. I actually had a doctor's appointment yesterday, one of my final ones before I go up the mountain, and she still cleared me. We're adjusting one of my medicines just because we are. I've lost a lot of weight and I've gotten a lot, very good physical shape. Probably the best shape I've been in 30 years, quite frankly. But the fatigue can be tough. The fatigue, I get up in the morning and I don't know what I'm going to get. It's like opening a bottle of Cracker Jacks. You open the Cracker Jacks box, the toy surprise, what are you going to get?
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
So in the morning I get up, I have a cup of coffee, I sit in the chair. Right now I turn on the Tour de France and I watch that for a while and kind of see how you feel. And on a lot of mornings it kind of kicks in and your day goes along, and at the end of the day I'm always tired. There's no doubt I'm always tired.
Yeah.
But then there are days where my wife will get up and say, well, how do you feel? And I feel like I haven't felt like I haven't slept in 3 days. And those are the days where not a lot's going to happen. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people have asked me, gee, Miles, what happens if you wake up on one of those really bad days, and that's the day you have to go up Mont Ventoux?
Yeah.
One of my sponsors got a hold of a trainer, a Garmin TAC-X trainer for me, which is what a lot of the professionals use, and it's accurate within 1% when you measure the gradients. And I was having one of those days back in January or February where nothing's going to happen. I said, well, this is a good day to go get on the bike. We're going to go get on the bike and see what happens. And I did a 6-mile warm-up on the Garmin, and I thought, I can't do this. I just can't do this. And I said, this is a good time to go up Mont Ventoux.
Yeah.
See what happens. And I will tell you, I've gone up Mont Ventoux virtually 8 times already.
Yeah.
That was, believe it or not my slowest ride, but
really?
It was no doubt the hardest.
Yeah.
And I pushed myself as hard as I could go that day just to see what would happen. Because if I wake up on August 24th and I'm having a really bad day, I still have to go up. And I wanted to be sure that I could do it. And I can. And I did it. So there's no doubt I can do it. It's just a matter of turning it off in your head and muscling through it. And that's what I did. I just turned my head off. And you're an athlete, Michael. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You turn off the pain. You turn off the fatigue. You turn off everything around you. And you focus 100% of everything you have on what's in front of you, and you get it done.
Yeah. And you say you have to get it done. Tell us more about your fundraising challenge, who you're raising funds for, and what's that for?
So I'm raising funds for the GBS CIDP Foundation International. Yeah. And they have a lot of different funds, a lot of different ways of raising money, and a lot of different areas to put money in the pots, if you will. What really appealed to me with them was they have this one pot, which all the money that's raised goes directly to patients who are recovering and in need. For example, you might have a patient who contacts the GBS Foundation and says, gee, I can't afford the wheelchair, I can't afford a walker, I can't afford my therapy. And the foundation has never said no to anybody that I know of. And they help the patient. And they have limited resources. They can't, buy them a new car or an SUV or anything like that, but they can certainly help with some of the items that the patient might need. So when I spoke with the GBS CIDP Foundation about this fundraiser, I said, that's the fund I want to raise money for. Every single dollar that's raised will go into that pot, if you will, of money for recovering patients in need. And the next question, of course, is, well, the fundraiser costs money. You have to buy a bike. You've got to pay airfare. You've got to rent a house. You've got a support team. You've got to rent the car, photographers, jerseys, things like that. That all costs money. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, it does. And my wife and I are paying for everything. My wife and I are funding this. My wife and I are funding this fundraiser 100%. So truly, every dollar raised, and we've raised over $65,000 so far, every dollar raised of that $65,000 will wind up in a recovering patient's hands to help them with the cost of their therapy, with the cost of their items they may need, mobility items. Maybe they need help paying a bill or two. I mean, all of that money will go directly to a patient.
Because the reality is, of recovering from it, you may not be able to work for a while. You may need support. It's all these sort of things that you need. So it's going to a great cause, and it's wonderful that you're funding the trip itself and raising money. You say you're 65,000. How can I ask you, how high do you want to get? You can make a call to people to support you here.
There's no limit to how much we want to raise. Our original goal was 60, quite frankly. Now we're at 65. Our next goal is 70. I'm going to keep increasing it by 5. Every single dollar given helps. Whether it's $5, whether it's $5,000. I've had people give $10,000. A $10 donation can make a difference in someone's life. I mean, you get $10 donations, you can buy somebody a walker.
Yeah.
You give a $20 donation, maybe you can buy somebody a cane. You give somebody a $20 donation that has lost their insurance and is having trouble buying simple things like groceries.
Yeah.
Maybe you bought them some hamburger and some rolls and a pickle. I don't know. Every dollar helps. Every dollar makes a difference.
Yeah.
My sponsors have been amazing. A lot of my sponsors have not only given through their corporation, but have also given personally.
Yeah.
And that says a lot to me about they really believe in the cause.
And do you want to mention some of those people who've sponsors, companies who've helped you along the way?
Absolutely. We have the CETA Foundation. We have Delta Custom Leathercraft. We have Infinite Space Quilting. We have Hart Pine Construction here in Southern Pines and Pinehurst. We have Camina Design and Construction here in Southern Pines. We have First Health, who owns the hospital where I was. We have Talamore Golf Resorts. I'm gonna forget somebody. I know I do because I don't have my list in front of me.
No. We'll mention if you forget them. We'll remember next time.
Rainbow Bicycles, the local bike shop.
Ah.
I mean, without them, I mean, I take my bike in for service. I could literally, you can wait for it, Miles. We're going to do it right now while you're waiting. I said, I'll come back this afternoon. I mean, they have rolled out the red carpet for me.
And fantastic.
Everything. Yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah. And how is your training going, would you say?
My training's going very well. My coach is the same coach I had when I was trying out for U.S. teams and trying to, looking at the Olympic team very seriously and racing my bike 35 years ago. I had the same coach.
So can I just mention, because we've also done an interview with Bill. So do you want to mention your coach, Bill, and of course, who else you're riding with? So Bill's 82 as well, isn't he?
He's 82. He had heart surgery earlier this year. He's 82 years old. It's Bill Bike Guy Humphreys. And he's the same coach I had back in the day. And he's been working with me, changing me from being a sprinter into a mountain goat, a climber. Then back in the day when we were racing, I was a sprinter, as I said. My lead out man, Tom Riley, best lead out guy in the world as far as I'm concerned. He's now 61 years old, and he's going to ride the mountain with me as well.
Yeah,
and he's a multiple sclerosis patient, an MS patient.
Yeah. So you got 3 people who have a condition or recovering from a condition climbing Mont Ventoux. I think you told me it's 3 broken and mended guys. Is that right? Something of that sort.
It is. Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's.
We're all going up together. We all met in Rhode Island about a month ago for a kind of a meeting and a training session and a reconnection. And I thought it was interesting. And I said this to the guys. I said, 40 years ago, we were all doing the same thing, racing, training together on a pretty regular basis. Then life happens and we all go like this.
Yeah.
And then 40 years later, we're all back again doing the same thing. And I think it's very interesting how life has brought us all back together again for the cause of raising money and awareness for Guillain-Barré syndrome patients.
So you've got a few weeks to go to get ready before you leave for France. So what have you got to do over the next few weeks, all the 3 of you and the team, and not only training, but all the other things you have to put together?
Well, my focus is the last 7 weeks of training will be to continue to climb. I don't want to lose any of that. Continue putting base miles in my legs. The same with Bill, the same with Tom. They're working on the same exact things. I spoke with Bill this morning. I spoke with Tom last night. We're all working on base miles. We're all working on climbing. We're going to continue doing so. I would imagine about 10 days before we'll all kind of settle down and rest with the flight and pack the bikes and all that fun stuff. We're going to have to deal with a little bit of jet lag when we get up there, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. And I'm used to being tired, so being tired from flying won't be anything different for me. So I think, over the next 7 weeks, it's just a matter Just fine tuning anything you want to work on. For me, it'll be continue to climb, continue base mileage. I really believe in the base miles, getting those miles in your legs, overall strength. My coach has me training by cadence to control heart rate and so you're not over breathing and getting winded and getting hurt. So, when I do the steep climbs, I really focus on, it's nice to know the gradient you're climbing, but for me, it's more important to know where my cadence is and how am I breathing. Because if I know I have the strength to get up pretty much anything. I have that strength now. Yeah. I've got all those base miles in my legs. I've got, we originally wanted to have 5,000 miles in my legs by the time I got to Ventoux, where I'm already at 5,700.
Yeah.
So I've far surpassed that goal. I'll be past 6,000 by the time I get there. So I've got the strength. It's controlling the wind. It's controlling your breathing, controlling your heart rate.
And to give the viewers an idea of how tough Mont Ventoux is, tell us more about the challenge of it.
The challenge of Mont Ventoux, your gradients, while it's good, can also be a challenge. You'll have times where your gradient is only 4%. And I say only 4% or 5%, but that's when they give you the warnings on the highway that going down the hill is steep and we have to have truck runoff ramps. It goes from 4% to 7% to 9%. There is a section that's at 13, 14%, although it's very short, but it's right at the end.
Yeah.
And the real challenge to me from Mont Ventoux is that it's 16.2 miles, the direction we're coming from. And you start out, you come around a corner and you're slapped in the face before you really warmed up with 7% for about a mile, which is fine. I'm not worried about that anymore because I've done longer, harder climbs. But if you're not trained for it, it can get your attention. The first 7.75 miles is really just a grind. It's a constant grind of 6%, 5%, 7%, 9%. Without really any kind of a break. Once you get to 7.75 miles until you get to the chateau, it does ease up. And it's crazy to say it eases up to 5%, 6%, 4%. You're still climbing, but you're going to feel like you're resting. And that's where you take your nutrition. That's where you take some water. You eat something. But because once you get to that chateau, the chateau is a 3.94 mile mark to the summit. And then it's hard.
Yeah.
I have other words for it, but we'll just leave it at it's vicious and it's hard. And the last mile and a half is, to me, it's exceptionally hard. It's not that it's not at 10% or 12% or higher. It's just that at that point you're tired.
Yeah.
And it's just constant grind up. So the last, tenth of a mile, you hit the 13, 14%, but that's such a short time that if you know it's coming in your head, you can be ready for it. So when it hits, you just go. And that's what I intend to do. When that hits, I'm going to get out of my saddle and I'm going to make like the finish lines right there because it is. Yeah. Just go.
Excellent. Well, it's a real challenge. We wish you the best with it. Now, if anyone wants to donate to the cause, how can they do that, Miles?
Well, they can go to my Facebook page, which is Miles, MILES, 4 FORGBS. And there's a link on my Facebook page. You go over to links and you push a little button and it takes you to my website. And from my website, there's all kinds of places where it says donate. You can read the story, you can look at our progress, you can meet my sponsors, you can see some of the individual donors. I've got a donor board where people have given a whole lot of money are in a summit club. The other people are in this other big, huge board, which, rotates and has music and all kinds of fun stuff and all kinds of places to donate. If there's anybody out there who wants to do a corporate sponsorship, the corporate sponsorships are still available and they're there. They can send a check into the GBS CIDP Foundation, or they can use a credit card, which is the easiest way.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I wish you very well with that, Miles. I wish you well with your training. We're going to be coming back to you before you leave for France, you, Bill and Tom, and then also obviously after the ride itself. But we'll be coming back to you shortly. So thank you very much for your time, Miles, and good luck with the rest of your training.
I thank you very much for your time and this opportunity and also for the support of this event. Thank you so much. It means the world.
Thank you.
It means the world to the patients.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And having been one as well. So excellent.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks to Miles, and thanks to you for watching the podcast. Please subscribe and like, and of course, please remember to take good care of your health.